The young and the restless spoilers in the labyrinthine streets of Genoa, where secrets fester like wounds and allegiances shift with the tide, a dangerous game of love and betrayal had taken center stage. The stage was set for a performance where every character danced on a razor's edge of treachery. At the heart of this tangled web was Lily, a woman whose heart, it seemed, had been lost to the siren call of ambition and peril. Currently the beloved girlfriend of Holdem, Lily had earned notoriety as the master impersonator of Damien, deceiving everyone around her with an ease that belied the chaotic storm raging inside her. Despite the gravity of her actions, Lily appeared remarkably indifferent. "I love Holdem," she would insist, her voice a soft murmur amid the chaos. Her unwavering claim of love was the cloak under which she shrouded her willingness to help him with anything, no matter how nefarious. To an outsider, her devotion might have appeared genuine, a love so profound that it rendered her blind to the moral costs of her actions. Yet beneath that declaration lay a heart hardened by years of instability, a heart that had learned to trust nothing but the cold promises of a man like Holdem. Holdem, for his part, was a man of calculated ambition and ruthless intent. With eyes that missed nothing, he had long observed Lily's inherent lack of empathy. He saw in her a tool, a disposable asset to be wielded in the pursuit of his own dark objectives. In his mind, Lily's amorous devotion was not a sign of genuine affection but rather a chink in her armor, one that he could exploit at any moment to further his designs. His latest plan, whispered behind closed doors and guarded by a veneer of false smiles, was as bold as it was dangerous. He wanted Lily to infiltrate the inner sanctum of Nate's world and dismantle it from within. Nate, a man whose own secrets were buried deep beneath layers of public charm and political maneuvering, had unwittingly become the target of Holdem's schemes. Unbeknownst to him, his every move was being watched, his plans silently recorded by an eavesdropping Lily, who was tasked with gathering intelligence that could cripple his standing. Holdem's instructions were simple and chilling: listen, learn, report back. In this high-stakes game, every whispered conversation held the potential to tip the balance of power, and every unguarded moment could lead to a catastrophe that might change the course of Genoa's turbulent future. Yet, the irony of the situation lay in the fact that no one suspected Lily's vulnerability, no one knew that she was not the cunning seductress she portrayed, but rather a woman who had been utterly enthralled by Holdem's promises. In a twist of fate as cruel as it was ironic, Holdem had already succeeded in seducing Lily completely, both physically and emotionally. In the secretive aftermath of a passionate encounter, he had whispered vows of eternal love and promised a future adorned with matrimonial bliss. "I will marry you," he had murmured, his voice a mix of sincerity and calculated allure, "and we will build a happy life together." These words, though intoxicating, masked the harsh truth: Lily was nothing more than a pawn in his grand design. In the dangerous underbelly of Genoa, where allegiances were as fleeting as morning mist, Lily's character had earned her a reputation as an unstable force. Known for her impulsiveness and a propensity to create chaos, she was both admired and feared. Every step she took seemed to leave a trail of disarray, and her unpredictable nature made her an enigma that few could unravel. Her life was a series of volatile chapters, each more tumultuous than the last, and she thrived on the thrill of the impending crisis that always loomed on the horizon. As Holdem's plan unfurled, Nate and his close ally Amy found themselves entangled in a web of conspiracies that they could scarcely comprehend. Their lives, once marked by routine and stability, were now shadowed by a specter of danger. With every secret meeting and every hushed conversation, the threat of a hidden poison, metaphorically and perhaps literally, loomed ever closer. Rumors began to circulate in the darker corners of Genoa, whispers of a toxic scheme orchestrated by Lily, the very same woman whose unpredictable behavior had become synonymous with peril. The stakes had never been higher, and every passing day nudged Nate and Amy closer to the brink of disaster. Within the confines of their own minds, both Nate and Amy wrestled with a growing sense of dread. They knew, on some deep instinctual level, that the environment around them was no longer safe. Every ally was suspect, every friendly smile could hide a dagger, and the once familiar corridors of power now echoed with the footsteps of betrayal. The very air they breathed was saturated with tension, a tangible reminder that, in Genoa, stability was an illusion, and danger was a constant companion. Meanwhile, Holdem continued to play his part to perfection. His charm and manipulative prowess ensured that even those who doubted him found themselves swayed by his confident assurances. To the public, he was a visionary, a man destined for greatness, but behind closed doors, he was the architect of chaos, meticulously planning the downfall of those who dared oppose him. With Lily by his side, every secret meeting, every hushed exchange, became a stepping stone towards an inevitable climax, a climax that promised to unravel the very fabric of power in Genoa. In a particularly intense moment, as Lily covertly recorded a conversation between Nate and one of his most trusted confidants, a sense of foreboding enveloped her. The voice on the other end of the line spoke of strategic alliances and hidden vulnerabilities, revealing plans that, if left unchecked, could dismantle Holdem's entire operation. It was in these moments that Lily's inner conflict grew, torn between the promises of a better life with Holdem and the creeping realization that her actions might unleash untold chaos. Yet, even as a fleeting doubt crossed her mind, she quickly buried it under layers of resolve, reminding herself of the love she had come to believe in, a love that was as volatile as it was deceptive. Lily's actions, though shrouded in the guise of loyalty, were a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate. Every piece of intelligence she gathered, every whispered secret she transmitted to Holdem, pushed the fragile balance further towards disaster. And while Holdem's promises of a blissful future loomed large in her thoughts, there was an undeniable undercurrent of desperation, a recognition that she was drifting ever closer to a point of no return. With Nate and Amy now in grave danger, the question loomed large over Genoa: would Lily's actions ultimately lead to the salvation of Holdem's dark ambitions, or would they trigger a chain reaction that no one could control? In the shadowed corridors of power, where trust was as rare as truth, the lives of these characters intermingled in a deadly dance of passion, deceit, and ambition. The city of Genoa had long been a breeding ground for intrigue, and the latest chapter in its tumultuous history promised to be its most perilous yet. As Lily prepared to carry out her next mission, a mission that could seal the fate of Nate and Amy, she couldn't shake the eerie feeling that the path she had chosen might be leading her into an abyss from which there was no return. The coming days would test the limits of loyalty and the resilience of the human spirit. For Holdem, every secret obtained, every enemy dismantled, brought him one step closer to a kingdom built on treachery and manipulation. For Lily, every lie told and every promise broken was a reminder of the fragile nature of her existence, a life defined by the razor's edge between love and betrayal. And for Nate and Amy, the looming threat of an unseen poison, a toxin born not of chemicals but of deceit, cast a long shadow over their futures. In the end, the story of Lily, Holdem, Nate, and Amy was one of tragic inevitability. In Genoa, where chaos was the norm and every smile hid a secret, the bonds of love and trust were nothing more than fragile illusions. And as the gears of fate turned inexorably towards a climactic confrontation, one thing was clear: in this high-stakes game of power, the true price of betrayal was paid in lives shattered and dreams forever lost. This tale, set against the dark, alluring backdrop of Genoa, serves as a stark reminder of how easily ambition can twist love into a weapon. The interplay of passion and betrayal not only defines the characters but also shapes a narrative where every decision could lead to ruin. In a city where the line between friend and foe is blurred by deception, one must always wonder, in the pursuit of power, who truly pays the ultimate price. The betrayal that no one saw coming. The city of Genoa had always been a battlefield of power and deception, but this time, the stakes were far higher than anyone could have anticipated. In the heart of the chaos stood Lily, a woman whose allegiance had become a riddle even to those who knew her best. Once a reckless and unpredictable presence in the city, she had now transformed into something far more dangerous: an informant, a spy, a ticking time bomb. And Amy was the only one who had begun to see the cracks in the facade. For weeks, Amy had watched Lily from the shadows, taking note of the subtle yet unmistakable changes in her behavior. There was a new air of secrecy about her, a cautiousness that hadn't been there before. She moved differently, more calculating, more deliberate. It was as if she had a second life no one knew about. Amy, always sharp and observant, had initially dismissed these signs as nothing more than Lily's usual erratic nature. But then came the whispers, the hushed phone calls, the unexplained disappearances. The truth hit her like a lightning strike. Lily was not just acting strange, she was working for someone. And Amy had a sinking suspicion who that someone was. The moment of realization, the first time Amy caught Lily in the act, it was in the dimly lit hallway of the Grand Phoenix, a place where secrets were exchanged as easily as drinks. Lily was standing near the corner, phone pressed to her ear, her voice barely above a whisper. Amy had only caught a few words, but they were enough. "I did what you asked. Nate doesn't suspect a thing. Just tell me what's next." The blood in Amy's veins turned to ice. There was only one person who would want to know about Nate's movements. Holdem. The very man Amy had begun to suspect was not who he claimed to be. For weeks, she had felt something was off about him, about the way he had effortlessly inserted himself into their lives, charming his way through every interaction. Damien had always been a force to be reckoned with, but this Damien, this Holdem, was different. His words were smooth, his actions precise, but there was something else, something false. Now, standing there in that hallway, Amy knew the truth. Lily had been bought. Turning against an old friend, Amy's mind raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. If Lily was truly working with Holdem, then she wasn't just gathering information, she was feeding it directly to him. And if Holdem was as dangerous as Amy suspected, then Nate was walking straight into a trap. She had to act. But confronting Lily was not an option. Not yet. Lily, for all her volatility, was smart. If she suspected that Amy was onto her, she would twist the truth, manipulate the situation, and in the end, it would be Amy left looking like the paranoid fool. No, she had to be careful. She had to be strategic. She had to run. That night, Amy made her choice. She severed all ties with Lily, no longer able to trust the woman who had once been a friend. Instead, she sought out the only person who could help her, Nate. The warning that came too late? When Amy finally arrived at Nate's office, breathless and shaken, he could tell something was wrong. He had seen Amy rattled before, but never like this. She wasted no time. Lily has changed. She's working for him. For Holdem. Nate's expression darkened. That doesn't make sense. Lily might be reckless, but she's not, she is. Amy cut him off, desperation seeping into her voice. I heard her talking to him. She's feeding him information, Nate. And I don't think she even realizes how much danger she's putting herself in. You need to start watching her before it's too late. Nate sat back, absorbing the weight of her words. Amy could see the conflict flickering in his eyes. He didn't want to believe it. Lily, despite all her flaws, had been a part of their world for too long. But deep down, Amy knew he had already noticed the changes, he had just been ignoring them. And now, ignoring them was no longer an option. Holdem's game is still unfinished. What Amy didn't know, what no one in Genoa knew, was that Holdem's deception ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. He was not just manipulating Lily. He was orchestrating an entire illusion. For months, he had played his role flawlessly, slipping into the life of Damien without a single misstep. His knowledge of Damien's past, his mannerisms, even his supposed love for Lily, it was all a carefully crafted performance. And so far, no one had dared to question it. His mask remained firmly in place. But not forever. The cracks were beginning to show. With Amy aligning herself with Nate, the illusion was beginning to fray at the edges. She was the first to see through it, but she wouldn't be the last. And if there was one thing Holdem despised, it was losing control. The point of no return. As the battle lines were drawn, Lily found herself standing at the heart of the storm. She was the key to everything now. A woman trapped between her blind loyalty to Holdem and the looming consequences of her betrayal. A woman who, whether she realized it or not, was walking a dangerous path from which there might be no escape. The question was, when the final confrontation arrived, whose side would she truly stand on? And by then, would it even matter?